All right, what's up everybody, and welcome into the Final Fantasy Tactics Lecture stream. We are in Lecture 2 tonight, but that's okay. If you have not been with us in the previous lecture, then that is perfectly fine. We're just going to be playing Chapter 2 of Final Fantasy Tactics tonight. My name is Wade, aka ProfNoctis. I teach religion and video games at the University of Alabama, and I am now doing that on stream tonight using Final Fantasy Tactics. And tonight we have got a very special episode because we're getting into the thick of Final Fantasy Tactics now in the story. And so tonight's lecture I have coined Heresy and Sacred Power. The idea is that when unity becomes control, truth can become dangerous. And so we're going to be getting into all of that. A whole lot of that tonight. For those of you that are just joining in Chapter 1, you may remember that we discussed some of the ins and outs of a hierarchy and aristocracy and some of the impacts that that has on the populace. That's kind of where we were last time. We ended on a pretty sour note when Delita's sister Tetra was fallen. And so since we are talking about Chapter 2 tonight, spoilers are fair game for Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. We will not be discussing Chapter 3 and 4. If you are new to the stream, first of all, thank you for hopping in. But this is a lecture series that I call Tactics and Theology. It's a place where we explore some faith, philosophy, and history all woven together through Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, and we got to say right here, thank you to Square Enix for providing game key for us to create this content. Super appreciate you guys. Last week we saw how war and faith kind of blurred together in Ivalice, and we're going to be digging more into that. I want to kind of start out tonight's lecture stream with a couple of questions, really one central question. What happens when protecting faith becomes more important than living it? I'm going to ask that again. What happens when protecting the faith becomes more important than living it? It's been said history is not written by the righteous, but by the survivors. And the victor's ink is in the heretic's blood. So tonight, we're going to be playing through a few different scenes of the game. We're going to pause and we're going to ruminate and think a little bit. We're going to learn a lot, and we'll get through Chapter 2 tonight. In case you were wondering, let me do a quick recap. Princess Ovelia had just been kidnapped by men bearing the standard of Duke Galtana. The one who seized the princess was none other than Delita, who was believed to have died at Zeekton. But after some debate, Ramza and his comrades joined Agrias in her search. They went to Dorter, a city nearby, and when Ramza and his allies arrived in this merchant city, they were ambushed by a troop of sellsword. They eventually rebuffed the onslaught and made for Fort Besalat, where Galtana's forces were thought to be heading. And then they went to the forest and they found a bunch of chocobos, which is more about kind of a gameplay sort of thing. This next scene is where we catch up with Delita, and that kind of begins some of the conversations that we're going to have tonight. Go ahead and place our units.
Leave it to me.
To battle. Stand aside, sir. You are surrounded. Surrender the princess, and no more blood need be spilled.
Do you so enjoy the taste of lies? Your orders are to see the princess dead. And once I've watched you feed the fools her blood, I'm to believe you'd let me live. A witness to your crime.
What could we possibly gain by Lady Ovelia's death? We wish only to see her freed from the Black Lion's claws.
Shuffle,
Your
shuffle,
Highness.
shuffle of the feet.
Agrias? Agrias!
Agrias Oaks of the Lion's Guard,
Embarrass,
is it?
I did.
An untimely interruption. Gafgarion, you know what to do. Kill them all!
A change of plans. But a contract is a contract after all.
What is the meaning of this? You would betray us!
Betray you? You have a viper's tongue, milady. I betray no one. I'm in the Order's employ, and they are of it. My task was to see the princess safely abducted. And theirs? To see those responsible silenced.
You mean to say the kidnapping was a ruse?
The princess is an obstacle to the throne. So long as she lives, the threat remains that someone could assert her claim above Prince Orinus's. 2 heirs is one too many.
And once she is slain, the blame will be placed at Goltana's feet. The stroke that fells a problem princess at once brings down a rival lion. That was no doubt Larg's plan all along. Or was it his? Such a plot has more the feel of Dice Dark's thinking. Would you not agree, Ramza?
That one has the right of it, Ramza. Come, let us earn our pay.
Yet again, he would see sacrifices made of the weak and innocent. No. I will not allow her to be another Tetra. This vile charade has gone on long enough. It ends now.
Good line. Gotta protect her. Betrayal! Gafgarian is now an enemy!
Delita, you live.
So I do. And you? Ever your lord brother's faithful hound?
Are you mad? I knew naught of any of this. What of you, Delita? You now play party to their plot.
You think I would cast my lot with them? Surely you know me better than that. Listen well, Ramza. My objective is to rescue the princess. I would free her from the clutches of they who would use her, and see that she is granted the station she deserves.
Oh, now see, this is a great thing. Delita and Ramza, who began together on the same kind of mission, in the same kind of worldview and perspective in Chapter 1, here are still on the same side, but their motivations are different, right? Notice what Delita says. He's like, I am the same as you. I would like to rescue the princess, but I would free her from the clutches of they who would use her and see that she is granted the station she deserves. Now, this is a really interesting piece here. We're going to get into it. The Delita and Ramza dichotomy here, and how does that play out in history, theology, and even modern day.
Such grand words might well rouse, had they not come from one with nary a hair above his lip. If you would lie, boy, at least lie well. You are just another mercenary. You were paid to take the princess.
And Gafgarian can't even understand this idea that somebody would do something except for money. You're just another sellsword, another mercenary, paid to do
be honest
this.
with yourself and with me. Name the man who bought your sword.
I sell my sword to no one. Do not count me among your lot.
Spare me the lecture. I ask for a name. You'd have me believe some bright-eyed pup caught wind of this plan and rescued the princess in the name of justice.
The name of justice.
Who gives you your orders? Who told you of this plot?
I would sooner cross swords than words.
My turn.
Love that. My turn. Also, Tifa's line. Let's get after it here. Bounce up there, get him.
Let's submit.
All right, Delita. I'll read through some of these. I see your answers are pretty awesome. Jazzman, you said you forget the teachings of the faith and become more about the worldly things around you. That's a good answer. Let's see. Smith, you said, I thought that earlier when I saw a tweet from a current administration politician who said, we're saving the church, we're saving God. Like it's supposed to be the other way around, dude. Wow, that's a good point. That's really interesting.
Tell me, sir, are you friend or foe?
I am a human being. No different from you.
Aegis! All right, Mr. Megaboss, you said when you protect something, it implies that the thing you're protecting needs to be guarded. So when it becomes more important, when it's weakened or vulnerable, that's my very first thought. That's an interesting concept. I'm curious how far that can go here. Jedi, let me read through some of your answer here. When protecting faith becomes more important than living it, it means that we put ourselves in a place of God, of our God. It's acting like it needs protection
Hold on,
when it
Your
likely
Highness.
doesn't.
I'm coming to help.
Do not be so sure of that.
Have you any idea what you do? The path you tread leads only to perdition. She is a princess true, the sister of the late king ere she was made his daughter. To lay a finger on her
Is treason.
Of that I am well aware. But your daughter of a king stands in the way of a king-to-be. Princess or no, her worth is spent. And those born of kings do not outlive their worth.
Do you mean to mock her and the crown both?
No more than we are mocked. Have you once seen a man of royal blood stay his hand when a commoner blocked his way? The only difference is that those of royal blood are protected by lackwits like you, who swear fealty without even a thought. Even should the princess live, it would only be as a pawn in another's game. To kill her now is a mercy.
Then it is a mercy I will not see done. This world has no need for your contorted brand of justice. Come
This battle quickly becomes like a battle of ideology, a battle of, like,
take this!
wow, look at Agrius just go off here. Love her.
For victory.
Or victory. Fire off some fire. And then I'll get back to reading. So, let's see, Jedi, you continue. But when you live it, it puts the perspective into perspective the faith and allows others to see it in action. There's a reason why people say action speaks louder than words. It's a good point. Who in history would I equate with our soft boy Rams? That's a good question.
Best cut my losses.
I don't know. I'm going to wait till week 4 for that.
I must concentrate.
Thancred's line to my turn. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of this boyo. All right, let's get over here. I can't quite reach him. If faith is the structure or laws which guide humanity and you become a protector of it, you're prioritizing dogma over humanity, and the dogma exists to serve humanity. It becomes a snake eating its own body. This is a great thing. In academic circles, we discuss it kind of like this, that there is a distinction between data and dogma. In academics, we want to pursue data and critique the dogma. And when we say dogma, these are the patterns of belief, the theologies perhaps, that characterize one's belief system, okay? And sometimes dogma can align with data, and sometimes it just does not. And that's where a lot of my students have found value in things like deconstruction. Like, how do we deconstruct aspects of our faith and our ideologies so that it resonates in a truer fashion? Smith, in our church, we believe that the Eucharist, the consecrated bread and wine, is the real presence of Christ. So in that state, he is vulnerable, but even then, he can only suffer insult, not injury. And insult is nothing new for God. Smith, what a great phrase. In fact, you even got the victory music for me reading that one. It's a great phrase. He can only suffer insult, not injury, and insult is nothing new for God. Oh, dang. I love that phrase, Smith. That's terrific.
Let the princess with me. She will be safer in my care.
Delita, what is this game you play with us?
Game? I do no more than speak the truth. You've made an enemy of the Order of the Northern Sky. So tell me, where would you now take her? The Order will send its most capable to capture you. Do you truly believe you can elude them with the princess slowing your escape?
Well,
Think, Ramsar.
Well, like that mega boss.
This was
Hippocratic
Duke
oath,
Larg's
yeah.
plan, and he would not act without counsel of the Queen. As such, you cannot trust the crown. Would you turn to Goltana then? No, that would be folly. He would only offer up your heads in hopes of keeping his own.
And what, sir, would you propose?
I would do only that which you, my lady, cannot.
and what exactly is that?
Very well. I shall leave her with you for yet a while longer.
Delita, I did not think we'd meet again, but I'm glad we have.
It was Tetra. She watched over me then, as she does now.
Know that you go with my thanks, Sir Delita.
I hope this meeting is not our last, Ramsar.
I owe you my thanks as well. But in aiding us, you've made yourself an enemy of the Northern Sky.
This is the path I've chosen. I have no regrets. Let us consider our options, few though they are. We've no allies to whom we can turn.
We could make for Lionel, and entreat the aid of its lord, Cardinal Delacroix. The Church of Glabados rules there. Even Duke Larg would think twice ere making an attempt upon the princess.
Cardinal Delacroix. Servant of the Father and formidable warrior both. He won many a victory in the 50 Years' War. Yes. I dared to hope a man such as he would not turn a blind eye to Lady Avelia's plight. Very well. We make for Lionel.
This is great because we've now got Avelia on our team.
not
Love
delay.
that. And our job now is to escort her to Castle Lionel, where we're going to try to meet up with the Duke, who's going to hopefully help us. Just like last week, we're not going to go through every single one of these battles, but there are a few that I want to make sure that we kind of get into. Before we get into this next one, though, I do want to talk about this idea of ideologies and kind of talk about some of the ways that this has kind of happened throughout history to some degree. Just after the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, Christianity spread across the Roman Empire, especially through the work of a guy named Paul, but it lacked unity. And so to create order in the first 3-4 centuries, leaders convened councils. Now the most famous, well, allegedly one of the most famous, I guess depending on your perspective, was probably the Council of Nicaea. Most everybody has heard of the Council of Nicaea. It was about 325 AD or CE. And it condemned Arianism and declared Jesus fully divine. There were other councils as well, like Chalcedon, and that would refine doctrine. And they would define who was orthodox, and maybe even more than that, they would define who and what streams of theology were called heresy. Now in this game, Ramza is continually called a heretic or heretical or advocating for heresy because he's going against the reigning order of the church. So here's my question for you. Last week I had you Google some things. I'm going to have you Google some things tonight. I don't ask for you to be an expert, but I ask you to be a researcher. Here's the thing about education and academics. One of my professors told me this when I was an undergrad. Education and knowledge is not about knowing the right answer, but it's about knowing the right question to get to the right answer. And in the age of Google and internet searches, knowing the right prompt, knowing the right question to ask is more important than knowing the answer through rote memorization. I want you to Google the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea. And then for others, I would love for you to Google, and maybe for some of you overachievers, Google both. I want you to Google who was Arius and what did he believe about Jesus. Okay. When you find those answers, make sure you put them in the chat for us. We'd love to read them out loud together.
Understood.
I'm not really worried about this battle.
It's time.
If I die, how embarrassing, but All right, here we get to meet a brand new character. One of my favorites.
You've nowhere left to run. All we want is the stone. We needn't take your life.
What stone? I have no stone.
Do not play the fool with me, Mustadio. Do you forget that we hold your father? It's
Oh, Smith,
simple.
that's cool.
Give us the Auracite, and your father lives. Have it your way, then. Seize him!
I have a message for your keeper, Ludovic. Tell him that if he lays so much as a finger on my father, he'll never see the Auracite again.
What trouble is this? I think that man is being chased.
I think that man is being chased. We cannot stand by and
There is no
watch.
telling what they will do to him. We cannot stand by and watch. We must help him.
We must protect Mustadio. Get to helping. All right, how are those Google searches coming? Y'all talk about it amongst yourselves a little bit.
What to do?
What to do? Run and shoot. Ouch. Man, their archers are killing me. Not a fan. Let's take care of this guy. Mustadio, shoot. Ooh, disable, nice. Oh, he stood by me so he would burn me. That was a jerk move. Jerk move. Yeesh. Attack, attack. Ooh, dang it. The camera is like the mega boss in this game. Dang it. They are so good at standing in the worst places for me. The absolute worst places that I could. Actually, can I get up there? Yeah, that's what I want to do. Dang it! Dang it! Nice. Back in action. Good. Let's come up here. Bounce. Attack, attack. Let's get you down here. Take care of him. And then I think we got it. Dang it. Oh, and he came and stood right by me, that jerk. Yikes. Okay, let's go ahead and get him. And done. Nice.
Are you all right?
And this is how we meet Mustadio.
I should be, yes. Thank you. You saved my life.
Oh, we'll go through this cutscene first.
They're street dogs, running for the Bart Trading Company.
That's the company led by the Viscount of the same name. Ludovic Bart, yes?
Oh, then you've heard of them. But they're no ordinary traders. That business is only a front for more lucrative pursuits. Opium smuggling, slave trading, all manner of vile things on a grand scale.
What did you do to draw the attention of such as they?
I'm a machinist. Do you know the history of my trade?
Machinists claim the ruins of a lost civilization lie buried beneath the streets of the clockwork city of Gorg. Relics from the age of Saint Ajora, when airships numerous beyond counting filled the skies, and men of iron walked city streets. But the art of crafting such things was lost, if it ever truly existed.
But it did exist. Fantastical though it may seem, it was all very real. The ground beneath Gorg holds the hulks of airships and 1,000 fragments of machines the gods alone know the workings of. A machinist toils to restore this lost legacy, to see these marvels of old brought to life again.
The device you used during the battle, is that one of the machines unearthed in Gorg?
What, this? This is a weapon called a pistol.
A
It uses an
pistol.
explosive powder to propel a metal projectile toward its target. This one is of simple make. There were once pistols said to fire projectiles infused with magics.
Curious indeed.
So, why do these hounds of the Bart Trading Company chase after you?
Just now you said you were going to Lionel to see Cardinal Delacroix, yes? The Cardinal is a hero who fought in the 50 Years' War. To this day, the people of Lionel honor him as such. They believe he is the only man who can keep the realm from descending into chaos. The Cardinal will receive you, hear your plea, and the princess will be safe.
And what is it you want?
To go with you. I have my own reason for wanting to speak with him.
That being?
To save my father. He is held prisoner. The Cardinal is my only hope to free him. Alone, I am just another machinist. The Cardinal would never see me. That's why I would join you.
You still haven't answered my question. Why is the Bart Trading Company so interested in you?
I cannot tell you. Not now.
Then you remain here.
No. I must see the Cardinal. You must trust me, please.
I love what Mustadio is talking
Very
about
well,
here.
then.
Very veiled.
You will come with us.
I love it because he has information and, more importantly, a specific stone that he is wanting to entrust to somebody that he trusts, right? And so we notice that these soldiers, or these brigands rather, have been chasing Mustadio, and they're asking for the aura side, or the stone. The stone holds power, and even more than that, it holds, similar to materia, it holds the power of memory that can bring about untold power. So it's kind of like a container of old ancient knowledge. And so he wants to entrust it to this particular cardinal. One of the things that you probably have been Googling here, and I'm seeing it from the chat here, there's a lot of interesting things here. Some of you are kind of wondering about all of the ideas of the council and stuff. The first council of Nicaea was composed of hundreds of Christian bishops and leaders, with the majority kind of coming out of that eastern end of the stretches of the empire, I guess. And this is a really kind of an interesting thing, because this is the delineation between the state and the church is very loose, I guess we can say. I love where we're kind of going with some of this stuff. This feels like some of my classes where students are asking some great questions. The Council of Nicaea was really focused on kind of that anchoring point of, what is Jesus made of? Is he of the same stuff as God, or is he just like him? And so that was a really big delineation and understanding of who Jesus was. In these things. Is he divine, or is he just kind of like divine? Which sounds like it's not a big deal, but there are certain connotations and consequences of an entirely human or an entirely divine Jesus. And so this is kind of the evolution of that. These councils were pretty common during the first 1200, 1300 years of the church. You got the Council of Nicaea, which essentially condemned Arianism and produced the Nicene Creed. And the Nicene Creed was like, okay, these are the boundary lines. This is what we kind of see as the essentials. In non-essentials, we can have liberty, but in essentials, we're going to have unity, and that's what it is. In 451, you had the Council of Chalcedon. That's where there was a definition of Christ as fully divine and fully human. And so you get a little bit more of an alignment there. And then you have others that are going to talk about various heresies and kind of condemn those things. But these councils, they weren't meant to just clarify belief. In a lot of ways, they kind of codified authority, and it kind of lets you know who was able to speak about things with some level of authenticity and authority, because you got to remember, there weren't 2,000 years of documentation of interpretations and all this kind of stuff in the earliest days of the church. And so that's where these councils kind of came into being. But critics of these councils have oftentimes said, well, like, who writes the story but the victors? And in this case, it was the victors according to the discussions and arguments that many had. Sometimes they turned into more violent sort of means, but kind of interesting stuff to think about.
You mean it? Thank you, my lady. Thank you.
You stand before the princess.
Oh,
There is no need. You may rise.
Then it's settled. Consider yourself fortunate Her Highness spoke for you.
All right, so here's a question that you may have fun answering and discussing together, especially given some of the things that I'm seeing in your chat. When faith becomes something that you can vote on, does it still belong to God, or does it belong to the winners of the council? When faith becomes something that you can vote on, does it still belong to God, or to the winners of the council? Classic theological question and conundrum.
Lionel Castle, Highness. Do you see it? Just beyond those mountains.
We still have a long journey ahead. Do you think Cardinal Delacroix will aid us?
The Cardinal is said to be a man with utmost devotion to the crown. Even amid this turmoil, he has held the middle ground, siding with neither Duke Larg nor Duke Goltana. I do not think him a man to sully his honor by handing you over to either side.
I pray you are right.
He also has the ear of High Confessor Marcel. A word from the Cardinal, and the Church itself will take you under its protection.
Would that I were born no princess.
My lady.
My entire life has been spent behind sacred walls. The only sky I've known, hemmed in by slate and stone. Did you know? Before I was sent to Auban, I was in another monastery. When I heard I was to be the adopted daughter of my late brother, and after, ever in a monastery, it's not been such a bad life, I suppose. Only knowing that good people die for no more reason than that I am the princess, it's almost more than I can bear.
Highness, you must not blame yourself. The fault lies with those who would use you for their own ends.
I'm going to stop right there for just a second, because I think that that's a great explanation of, or example of kind of what we're saying here. You've got this woman, Ovilia, who has been very much captive within these walls, right? And all of her life, she's been protected, but also, as Agrius says, there is a fault among those who would use her for their own ends. And the question that we have is, what happens when theology, doctrine, philosophy is beginning to be used for one's own ends? Let me give you an example. In the 1800s, pre-Abraham Lincoln and Civil War, many ministers would get up in their pulpits, especially in the Confederate South, and they would preach sermons as though there was a hierarchy of the order of those born in the image of God. And from their framework, those who were in power, the white and the powerful, the slave owners, were kind of ordained by God to be there. And slaves, presumably, and almost predictably in all of these sermons, those that were brought over from Africa to work in the fields for Southerners as slaves, they were ordained as such by God. This is what these lectures, or excuse me, sermons would say. We have access to these sermons today. And there would be use of scripture, there would be use of biblical history, there would be things like the letter to Philemon, which addresses kind of a slave owner in the New Testament. And they would use the very narrow context of first century Israel and Europe, and they would say, okay, what was appropriate then contextually, we are enacting now and we're defending. Now, the question is that good and proper and true theology, even if it is using, or as we've talked about in here, mistexting certain texts within the Bible, or is it something that's a little bit more self-interested, using scripture, using doctrine, philosophy to further their own ends? Ovelia here, in some ways, is an example of the cherishing, but also the parading of theology as a symbol of control and power, that she might be used for the ends of others in the shadows. And I think in a lot of ways, that's where this discussion can really go. And so as we watch what happens with Ovelia and how different people are trying to use her, this is what I kind of want us to think about. How is she an analog to different theological notions?
There was another girl at Auburn. She was my only true friend. Alas, I have not seen her since she departed the monastery shortly before I did. I pray she is well.
You speak of Lady Alma, of House Beowulf.
So you know of her. But tell me, Agrius, what if Cardinal Delacroix makes to use me, like all the rest?
I do not believe he will, my lady.
Ramsar! Where have you been? It's almost time to leave. I didn't think to find you here. What are you doing?
Mustadio.
What news have you?
I love this archetype
All
in
is quiet.
games.
It would seem the northern sky hasn't reached
Mustadio
its
is
island for a time.
Gav from Final Fantasy 16, in my opinion. Very Gav-like.
A friend once showed me how to do this, but I'm afraid I've never quite mastered it.
Rams has got you.
Just like that. It's simple, you see.
Like this. It's really not so hard, is it?
I see, Lady Agrius. In such circumstances as these, I am fain to lend you whatever help I can. I shall dispatch a courier to Melond at once. High Confessor Marcel will have this news from my own hand. We will expose Duke Larg's misdeeds and ensure that no harm befalls you, Highness.
Your Eminence, think you the High Confessor will hear our plea?
Fear not, dear lady. The matter is in my care now. Princess Ovelia can scarce feel at ease, while those tasked with her safety are vexed. You may enjoy the comforts of the castle, wanting though they are, while we await a reply from Melond.
You are most gracious, Eminence. Thank you.
So long as Saint Ajora is our guide, we have naught to fear, child.
Now, this is the first mention of this guy, Saint Ajora. Saint Ajora, as we'll come to find out in the coming dialogue sections, and if you've played through Chapter 2, you kind of heard more and more about this. Saint Ajora is similar to Jesus, a miracle worker, disciples, all kinds of things. We'll learn more about him later.
As for you, my young machinist, I have given consideration to your troubles as well. Yours is not the first account to reach my ear concerning the true nature of the Bart Trading Company. In the Father's name, I shall dispatch a company of my finest to Gorg, and have Ludovic answer for his many sins.
Delacroix means of the cross. Interesting. Yeah, it does.
Your Eminence.
Conditioned upon this. I would hear the reason they choose to pursue you and your father.
That is... I mean to say, it's not...
Come, come. Mayhap this will give voice to your words.
A crystal?
You are familiar with the legend of the Zodiac Braves?
Indeed. In my youth, I often heard a fanciful tale of that name at Mass.
Lady Agrias, surely you do not aver that the Church would mislead its flock?
No, of course not, Your Eminence.
Long ago, before the mountains had ceased their wandering and struck their roots into the earth, the demonic Lucavi held dominion over the world. Seeking to end the chaos they wrought, the God of Light bestowed a refulgent blessing upon valiant and worthy souls. 12 were these warriors of light who emerged to challenge the Lucavi. In a long and bitter struggle, they succeeded in driving their malevolent foes to the spirit world, and Ivalice again knew peace. The 12 each bore an Orosite crystal
This is the
emblazoned with a house of the night sky.
now this is the story, right? Like these are kind of the passed down traditions and dogma and all that kind of stuff. Now, whether or not they're right is in the kind of eye of the beholder here, but they are accepted philosophy, and this is what Avelia is reciting.
And so, in time, the warriors of light became known as the Zodiac Braves. Thereafter, whenever the Lucavi have again threatened the world of men, they have ever returned to save us.
You have clearly been a most apt pupil, my child.
Elder Simon personally taught me this at Aubonne, Eminence. He also said that Saint Ajora, son of the God of Light, was himself one of the 12.
Here we go. Saint Ajora, son of the God of Light, was himself
Together,
one of the
they
12.
saved the people of Ivalice from the tyranny of the Holy Edoran Empire, which had stricken...
We call the crystals of the 12 the Zodiac Stones.
Sorry, I hit the button too quickly. The people of Ivalice from the tyranny of the Holy Edoran Empire, which had strayed down the path of darkness.
That which you see before you now is
Yeah.
a stone from that very legend.
Oh yeah, y'all are bringing up such good things. I want to
Orosite.
talk about this in just a
It
second.
exists. I did not think it possible.
Or that it held the power to keep the forces of darkness at bay. The power of the God of Light. I confess, I feel some power deep within, but my eyes see only a common crystal.
Mustadio, are you well? The color has left your face.
You have seen a stone like this one beneath Gorg, have you not?
Machines whose fires have long since guttered out lie strewn in the tunnels beneath the city. But pass such a stone near them, and you can hear them stir.
Then that is what Ludovic Bart seeks. Your Orosite.
I do not know what power these Zodiac stones hold. I know only that Ludovic hopes to find some way to harness this power and make a fearsome weapon. My father would not give them the stone, so they took him instead.
Yours is a pure and righteous heart, my young machinist. Proud. Be at ease now, Mustadio Bonanza. The Church will take responsibility for this matter.
Now, this is a great kind of dismissive sort of thing, right? Where Delacroix says to Mustadio, oh, you are so good, but you calm down now, be at ease. the church will take responsibility for this
Our
matter.
forces will strike at the villains, during which time I bid you retrieve the stone and deliver it into our safekeeping.
I love that.
Of course, Your Eminence.
I will go with you to Gorg.
Thank you, Ramsar.
I too am grateful. We would never have succeeded in reaching His Eminence the Cardinal without you. You have done us a great service, Ramsar.
I can only wish you well.
Thank you, Avelia.
Your
We love
words are
you.
all the aid I could ever ask, Your Highness.
Invader Coda, you mention kind of the heart of Christianity and the forgiveness and all of this kind of stuff. One of the key things that I talk about between the data and the dogma in my classes is that if you were to take the data for itself, kind of what is in at least the primary text, and for the purpose of Christian theology, we use the text Christians affirm as their primary, which is the New Testament, and the Old Testament for that matter, but the New Testament. We'll talk more about the authenticity and authority of the Bible next week, so make sure you don't miss that one. But they take the New Testament. And so the presiding and prevailing message of the New Testament, there's multiple themes, but the primary theme is that through Jesus, God extends the opportunity and offer of forgiveness. So through the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus, there is a closeness to God that is now possible, that to some degree was hindered before Jesus revealed kind of the heart of God to the people. And the heart of God to the people through Jesus was larger. It did not deny or overturn the former ways of things like Levitical law or the rules of the Old Testament, but instead he came to fulfill it, the law and the prophets. And by fulfilling it, he was able to show kind of the heart of God, which is for the people to be saved. John 17 says it like this. Jesus says a prayer and he says, "Now this is eternal life, knowing you," talking to God. John 17, I think it's verse 3 there. "This is eternal life, knowing you," and knowing the one that you have sent, or something to that degree. But it's this idea that eternal life is not streets of gold in heaven, though that may very well be a perk. The real eternity, the real eternal life, and as he said, Jesus said throughout his earthly ministry, "I've come to bring you life and life to the full. The kingdom of heaven has come. The kingdom of heaven is here now." It's the idea that there is a knowability to God, whereas before it was not so much that personal knowingness of God. And so he's extending this offer of proximity and closeness to God that overcomes the chasm of, quote, sin or the damage of the image of God in a person. Coda, you mentioned something about, I'm going to call this a predestination theology. Where you said God has already decided what he's going to do with you, but it's whether you've accepted Jesus into your heart as your Savior, not your acts on earth. Now, this is such a delicate phrasing here, and it's so easy to kind of go off the rails with a few different things, because you can either lean too much into a person's work or just say, it's not at all counting on that. The ideas of predestination are multifaceted, and you've got strong Calvinism, and then you've got Arminianism and a plethora of other theologies as well regarding free will and predetermined fate. And this is something we talk about in our Remake and Rebirth lecture series of Final Fantasy VII. But the way that I like to describe it, and many of you have heard me say this before, is predestination and the knowledge of God, the foreknowledge of God, is oftentimes more like a near eternal basketball bracket, okay? Where it's like every decision that we make spawns and creates brand new decision opportunities. Think of it like a choose your own adventure book to a divine degree. And God knows the human heart, but also knows every aspect of outcome there is. One of the theologies that exists is the idea that God, though God is all-knowing, also allows himself to have a self-limitation that allows for free will. Therefore, God has every potentiality known and planned out But in the moment of what I would call the moment of the maybe I will do this thing, maybe I will do this thing, maybe I will follow God, maybe I will sin, whatever it is, God is present there. And so somewhere in the midst of all of that, there is God's presence, there is God's knowledge, there is God's plan A, plan B, all the way to Z and beyond, that's constantly wooing a person back. That's number one, I would say. The universality of the offer of forgiveness and the limitation of human orientation to that offering. As one of my professors once told me, salvation and that moment of salvation is really the moment that you accept your acceptance. You accept your acceptance by God, which is offered to all. So that's an interesting thing. Now, a hardcore Calvinist would probably have another answer to that, and we could definitely talk about that at another time. I think that's a really important thing. The second thing that I'd like to say to you is about these councils that I've brought up a couple of times. These councils helped shape what the church is today, but also what it was looking like in the 4th century, the 5th, 6th century, and the 13th century, depending on the different councils. Full disclosure, I'm a United Methodist, and aside from the Catholics, nobody likes to meet as much as the United Methodists do. We meet for what we call a charge conference in our local churches. We meet for district conferences with kind of a region. We meet for annual, which is almost statewide conferences in that size region. We have jurisdictional conferences that happen pretty frequently. And then we have what's known as General Conference, where 1,000 delegates from across the world all gather every 4 years to discuss the contemporary issues in the church today. And when I was coming up in United Methodism, I really struggled with this because my question, I'm reading some of the chat in here as well, really interesting stuff. I had some of these same questions of like, if it's a bunch of people determining, quote, the will of God about these things, is it really God's will? Or is it just people ruminating? Well, through the course of my own studies and proximity to a lot of these conferences or councils, I could call them, they're not really councils, but they're conferences. What I came to realize is that there is something beautiful about the way that God uses ordinary people to do a divine will through discussion. Sometimes that discussion sounds like argumentation, and finding a, quote, faithful way forward. I say that because it's not my phrase, it's kind of a church-wide phrase. What I've learned in my years of life and Christianity and all of that is that sometimes God sends messages that are like burning bushes and out of the park miracles. Sometimes God will send angels and signs, but more often than not, God sends people like you and me who will speak truth to power, who will speak life to death, light to darkness, right to wrong. And that is somehow, in the grand scheme of things, the way that God interacts and intersects with human people to go forward. But the question is, are we not fallible? And the answer is yes. And that's why there needs to be accountability. In fact, that's what a lot of these councils were about. They were concerned with what happens when the teachings of Jesus, which now we're by the 2nd century and the 3rd century, they were like, there's nobody around left, still alive, who was there as a first-person account. So what do we do with that? When the apostolic tradition begins to die out, what do we do with that? And so that's what the basis of these councils and debates were. And here's what I would say to you. If you're interested in this sort of thing, go and read about these councils. Do more than the Google research. Go to a library, go to an academic website and read through these things and read through the discussions and the journals and stuff. I had to do this when I was in grad school. And not just hearing about these councils, but actually reading the phrases and the terminologies, it was captivating to me because these were people that weren't villainizing necessarily one another, but they were trying to find what is true and what is right and what is even dangerous for people. They were trying to do what was right. Now, sometimes councils would kind of redirect what the last council did in some ways. And so it was like, oh man, how do we continue to refine? And isn't that the task of all of us in some ways, to try to refine and to keep going a little bit more and a little bit better than we were yesterday. Once again, let me say this. Let me just pause for a second before we go into this final battle tonight, because I think there's some cool stuff that we can talk about with that too. I just want to applaud you all, because there is not a community on Twitch or YouTube like this, where we can discuss and have these really kind of, I don't want to say taboo conversations, but they're just conversations that are really challenging to have with people in real life, right? It's challenging to do this because religion is such a personal thing, and it's such a thing that we get really kind of wrapped up in. But you do such a good job of being able to listen and to be curious and to ask questions and all that kind of stuff. It is so easy in today's world to dismiss the other. And one of the cool things about this stream and about what we try to do here is we try to bring up those things that cause division, and we try to spin it like a jewel. It's not our desire to change anybody's mind one way or the other, but instead it's about helping us think more deeply. I think it's such a cool place to be. So anyway, give yourselves a pat on the back. Y'all are terrific, and I absolutely love what we're able to do around here. I want to show us a movie that you may have missed in your playthrough, but it's about another meeting with Delita at the docks.
Plenty of gulls, but no hint of Lionel's griffins. Delita! What are you doing here?
We have ears
Oh, hey,
in many
Esper.
places. Few things escape our hearing.
Our?
I say this for your sake, Ramza. Return to Egros. Delve no deeper into matters of royal maidens, or those of sacred stones.
What have these ears of yours been telling you?
You think to save a princess from a burning town. In truth, you would but set her on a higher floor. There is only one person who can truly save her, and that is what I will do.
What do you mean, Delita?
It's simple, really. Noble endeavors do not always reach the end we desire. You cannot save the princess. However hard you might try, you do well to remember that.
What then is your end in all of this, Delita? I fear I do not know.
The Dukes Larg and Goltana, your brothers, and all the rest. They are all of them swept up in a mighty current. A current they cannot see or feel. I simply swim against it.
Ooh, that's so good. Delita. Now.
We'll meet again, I should hope.
Now that is cause for a brief commentary. Ramza discovers that his brothers are kind of in league doing things that Ramza does not stand for.
In history.
I know, please stop interrupting my lecture, chronicler. Moss the chronicler up there. Ramza is at this crossroads where it's like, okay, my brothers are doing this thing, but they're my brothers. And Delita's like, yeah, your brothers are swept up in this. It's better for you not to concern yourself with this, because like it's hard to go against your family. It's kind of like in my classes when we're talking about theology and all this stuff. It is really, really tough for a lot of students because I'm not going against necessarily 2,000 years of theology and Christianity, but I am in some ways offering some questions about maybe their home church, people that they love and care for. I had a girl once say to me over coffee, she was like, the problem isn't that I'm afraid that what we're studying in class is right, it's that I'm afraid that my grandma was wrong about something. And I was like, that is such a great and poignant truth here. Like, it's okay to embrace new information and data and change your mind about things, but it's another thing to be like, oh man, was my grandma, was my brother, whoever it was, am I going against family here? And that's such a challenge for a lot of students. It's a coming of age thing. That's not just theological. That's everything. And I think that's such a tough thing. But I love Delita saying, it's like, I'm just swimming against the current. Like all the people that I cared for and your whole family who did a lot of good for me, it's not that I'm against them, I'm just swimming against the current that they are having, and they may be in the way. One final thing, I'm just going to read this really quickly. Count Dicedog and Cardinal Delacroix had made a secret pact in order to obtain both the stone and the princess. Gafgarian was dispatched to the cardinal by Dicedog, suggested that Princess Ovelia be used as bait to obtain the stone and to lure all those who knew of the kidnapping to their deaths. As for Ludovic Bert, the cardinal personally saw that he paid the ultimate price. We're going to go through Lionel Castle really quick. Got a samurai, we got a ninja. Maybe we'll use that guy. Do we have others that we want to use here? Mustadio. Okay, I don't know if this team is going to pull it off or not, but we're going to try.
Where have you got off to, Gosling? Won't do.
Won't do that. So they're chasing after Agrius here.
Come along quietly now. What do you say? Huh?
Ramza.
Lady Agrius is beset! To arms!
We must help Lady Agrius. Okay, let's get you on dry land over here.
Come on.
Move you on up here. Still waiting. Bam.
Ramza, what are you doing here?
We've come to rescue you. We thought to breach the castle from its postern. But why are you here?
The Cardinal betrayed us.
It's a Prince
Was betraying
Archbishop.
us all along. He plots with Duke Larg. We escaped the castle, but the princess was retaken. I was returning to save her, and here you find me. That we should thus reunite could only be divine providence. We must hurry, Ramza. They mean to execute Her Highness.
First these, then the princess.
Then the princess. Let's see if we can hurry through this really fast. Man, they've got a lot of haste. Oh, I hate when they heal. I hate it. Ooh, get this guy? Ah, dang. Not in range. Can I hit him with this? Yes, I can. Can I hit anybody? Not a single one. Amazing. Now I can. Darn. She can probably take a Faraga over there. Let's just hit her with a fire. Ow. On this one, right here. Hit them with protect, that'd be helpful. Ow. That's not gonna reach. So we wait.
Let me see.
Good deal. Look at us go here. We're doing pretty well.
For victory.
We'll just cure. This should do it. Yeah, there we go.
Lady Agrias, are you all right?
Ooh, I have not
I'm
played
fine,
Grandia
but
2.
we cannot afford to taking the princess.
Of course.
Again, you remember how I said Ovelia is kind of a stand-in for theology, and so here they have, quote, kidnapped her, and they have let loose word that she is to be executed. And this will be pretty near the end of our time together tonight, and we'll pick up next Tuesday with the Final Fantasy Tactics Lecture. Crap, I should have kept Agrias. Ah, crap, I forgot. This isn't gonna go well.
To leave behind, Highness? None, then. Very well.
Is that?
The enemy! We are come for the princess. Stand down, or take her place on the gallows.
And the trap is sprung.
Trap?
Oh, I do not like this fight.
Ramza, ever the gallant fool.
What have you done with Lady Ovelia?
I've done naught with her. She's a Lionel. What of the gem?
Gem?
Might we spare ourselves these tiresome fates? I speak of the Cardinal's gemstone. The one who stole it travels with you, does he not? I would have it surrendered.
If you want it, come and get it.
So, the boy now thinks himself a man. Very well. Let us finish this like men.
Terrific fight here. We are going to, in the interest of time, kind of move forward.
Your mind, Ramza. Return with me to Egros. Your brother Dystard would fain forgive what's done. He said as much himself. What is it that stops you? Chivalry? A tired relic? Neither justice nor loyalty ever filled a man's belly. However you may pretend, you are a noble. It's in your very veins. And a noble lesser men can only dream of having your lot in life. So forget this foolishness and be who you were born to be.
No, I will not.
Oh, good line, Ramza. I mean, be who you were born to be. No.
The foolishness is believing that our blood dictates our destiny. I refuse to exploit others simply because I was born a Beowulf.
Now, okay, my friends, let's talk about this for a second, because this is what gets me under a lot of heat over in the Final Fantasy VII camp. The foolishness is believing that our blood dictates our destiny. I refuse to exploit others simply because I was born a Beowulf. In this respect, Ramza, because of his blood, was destined to be like his brothers. However, he is choosing a different way. Therefore, he is defying his destiny. This is the way that destiny works. Destiny is what is forecast for your life. But through the power of one's will, you can say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, and I'm going to move to a different destiny. I'm going to create my own destiny. In a conversation about Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy, this comes up again and again and again, and everybody wants there to be some dramatically different sort of thing. But the defying destiny does not mean undoing the past or even undoing the train tracks that should forecast the rest of your life. Instead, it is to simply pivot in a new direction, to change the direction and the trajectory of your destiny. This is how you defy it. Therefore, if you have a propensity toward something in life, knowing that, that doesn't have to be your future. And it's all through the power of your will. This is what Ramza is kind of doing here, and I think it's a really powerful statement here. Once again, Final Fantasy is about defying destiny. Ramza is defying the destiny of his own path.
Even should it mean defying my brother, I will be true to myself. I will play no part in his foul plots.
Foul?
Good stuff.
You would paint your brother's deeds as foul?
And isn't that part of it? Part of realizing that your destiny needs to be changed is to recognize that the path that your destiny is taking you is foul. And what that sometimes means is that your brothers, your family, the things that you love, the things that you would prefer to undo, something about that is a bit foul, and you have to choose another way.
For generations, House Beowulf has possessed great military might and the influence that comes with it. As its lord, your brother simply upholds the duties of his station. You of all people should know that. What you call foul, I call necessary.
Now
Deny it all you want. This is the way of the world.
Now, isn't that just so pertinent to our theological conversations today? And isn't this the two sides? In councils and theological conversations, what one may call foul, another may call necessary. Deny it all you want, but this is the way of the world. And so there's this argument right here. Gafgarian and Ramza are having a council as to what is the way forward. I call it foul. No, I call it necessary. It is like, I love it. And so here we have an analog and a beautiful parallel between theology, discussion. This is the nature of politics. This is the nature of discussions and disagreements, even within families. The foul and the necessary, and the subjectivity of the one that is doing the speaking.
My brother and Duke Larg seek to ignite war to further their own ends. Yet who is it that would be made to suffer? It is the soldiers, who fight and die with their names unknown to their lords.
Something that he's only been able to know because he saw it firsthand. He listened to the plight of Meluda last week, and he's learned what people on the other side of nobility have suffered.
It is the veterans, who are cast aside when their swords are no longer needed. It is the common folk, who are bled dry by taxes and levies.
Yeah, what was your moment of radicalization, Ramza? That's the question. And it was the battles of the last two chapters.
The kingdom was finally beginning to know peace again. But now a privileged few would shatter that peace for personal gain. If such a thing is not foul, sir, then pray tell what is.
Ramza, banger after banger.
A man does not eat an omelette without breaking eggs. It matters not whether he is born into abundance or no.
Ah!
Progress exacts a price, and that price is paid in blood. Such is the ink in which history's pages are writ. Look around you, boy. Ivalice rots from within. Your brother would carve out the root of its decay, even if it means his hands must be soiled.
Banger after banger. I mean, are you kidding me, chat? This is one of the best written video games I have ever played. Every line is just like, holy crap. Absolutely incredible, incredible, incredible stuff. It says, Delita visited the room in Lionel Castle to which Ovelia was confined after she accused him of collaborating with Cardinal Delacroix. The cardinal himself entered with a man named Fulmarv, who appeared to be a knight. But after Ovelia refused to cooperate with them, a mysterious man informed her as to the shocking truth of her heritage, that she actually was not the princess, but instead an actor, essentially. We move on to Lionel Castle. As Ramza attempted to gain entry into Lionel Castle, he was once again ambushed by Gafgarian and a unit of the Cardinal's soldiers. Though Ramza emerged victorious, the triumph was bittersweet as he bid farewell to the old sellsword, his one-time mentor. Ramza and his allies reached Lionel Castle, but instead of Ovelia waiting for him, they found only Cardinal Delacroix. This is where things got a little bit more wild. The Cardinal then used the mystical power of his stone to transform into a Lucavi. Though the foul creature was possessed of terrifying the strength, the party was able to best it in battle. It's the question of how do you discern the difference between the truth and the keeper of truth? and all of that kind of stuff. These are questions that we have to learn to ask ourselves. It's the question that this game prompts, and it's not something that we will leave chapter 2 particularly settled with, because it's chapter 2. I think by the time we get to chapter 4, we begin to learn a little bit more. So here's what I'd like to do. We just ended with a kind of banger sort of bit with Gafgarian, even though it wasn't a final boss fight or anything like that. But as we kind of close out, I want you to think about this. Orthodoxy and heresy oftentimes define one another. Councils would preserve doctrine, but they also would suppress the conscience of some others. Now, there was, even during those times, disagreement, and many would say that faith had become surveillance, obedience might have replaced holiness. Yet amid corruption, true faith survived through compassion. In some of the works that one of our research assistants, Smith, has done, you can check these out on ProfNoctis.com. He says, love for the poor was the first theology and the truest creed. When we clothe the hungry and share our bread, we interpret God more rightly than when we write decrees. Smith is quoting other documents. You can go and check it out. He also says the church was strongest not when she silenced her critics, but when she fed her enemies. And I think that that's one of the things that we're finding here in this game. If we're looking for those who are truly good, those who truly believe in this game, I think Ramza and maybe Ovelia really personify that in a lot of times, in a lot of ways. Throughout the game, you find Ramza in moments of prayer. You see him clinging to a number of things that he is really struggling with. But you see him doing the right thing even amidst people, clergy even, those in power who should be doing the right thing. And so the question for us is, who is the real faithful adherent? Who is the true person of faith in this? Is it the one that's decked out in the robes and with the power, or is it Ramza, who is deemed a heretic? Where does one's heart really rest in orientation to what is good and what is true, versus where does one position lie? Oh, Catterfree, that's interesting. A moment of radicalization for you. Yeah, discovering one could be queer and Christian, as well as a solidification of harm reduction as a core tenet for myself. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that chapter 2 begins that journey for many about what is good and right and proper and quote orthodox. Great message from Smith in the chat. Orthodoxy comes from the Greek for right-oriented worship. And heresy actually comes from a Greek word that simply means choice or to choose, which is an interesting thing. When one person's choice becomes to crying of someone else's choice, can it be deemed heresy? There's a lot that we could unpack there, but perhaps that is for another time. So tonight, if you are sensing that we're in a place of restlessness, lack of peace and equilibrium, well, the good news is that we're supposed to be at the end of chapter 2. Who do we trust? What do we trust? That's the question. And so this week we end with this weird tension between pride and fear and faith. And next week, we turn from this to story, to see how sacred texts themselves were formed, how they were canonized and sometimes weaponized, because sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the sword, but it is the pen that writes history. Something that I talk to my classes about. And we will get to the bottom of kind of how Scripture, especially in Christian traditions, because this game is so Christian coded, I feel like we're going to really discuss. There's a lot of thoughts about how the Bible came to be and all the ins and outs of that, and we're going to illuminate that a good deal. So next week is all about Bible and the Scriptures of Germanique, which if you've played chapter 3, you know a little bit about that. We'll get into it though. And that concludes lecture 2 for Final Fantasy Tactics. Next week, play through chapter 3 if you haven't, or just come along for the ride. We'll get through it together. But once again, thank you so much for hanging out. Remember to go over to ProfNoctis.com to check out all of the latest. With that, walk tall, my friends, and good night.